What's up, gang? Today is a big day. Today is the day I'm going to reveal the project I've been working on now for just over 5 months. It's called, we're going to just put the brakes on that for a second. So this is the thing that's going to replace WordPress. This is the tool you are going to be using to build websites in the future. All right? The goal of this project is to take all the things that we love about WordPress and wrap them up into one platform that's really simple, really easy to use, really powerful, and to also get rid of all the things that we are tired of about WordPress, the things that are broken and that suck about using WordPress. I'll mention these things, some of these things, as we go through, as I walk you through the new platform. But I just want to unveil some of this stuff today. I've been working on this for a while now, and I'm just dying to show you some of what I've got built. Now, little caveat, the whole platform is not complete. However, I have finished a significant portion of the project, okay? Enough that I have some really exciting stuff to show you today. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is unveil the name of this thing. So the working name of this project has been Page Grill. I was thinking something along the lines of like, let them cook, let your website cook, this kind of thing, some modern parlance. But so that's the working name of the project, Page Grill. But the actual name, the final name, I think is gonna be called Page Motor, all right? Page Motor, powering your online adventures. So some thoughts on that real quick. So the name has to be punchy, all right? It has to be, snappy name, something you can easily say. The next thing is it has to be a domain. I think it has to be a .com domain, and it has to be one that is, shorter than 10 letters. That's sort of my baseline. So Page Grill, Page Motor, both are 9-letter domains. Those are good. And the next thing is, I've been doing this so long. So when you have a domain name that is awkward, or like not an actual word that's in English. There's a product called Klaviyo. Every time you say Klaviyo and tell somebody to go to klaviyo.com, you have to spell it Kliviyo or some weird spelling like that. Like, that is garbage. I have had DIY themes forever, and I have to spell it out every time. And for some reason, people transpose the letters so they say DIY themes. So that's just an annoyance, and it's stuff that you want to get away from over time. So I don't want to have to spell it out. If I tell you pagemotor.com, you're going to know you can go to pagemotor.com. You don't have to think too hard about this. I don't have to explain anything, and you can do it. So I think that is a critical requirement for any good platform name. Now, it has to be something you can say and you just know right away. Like WordPress is a good name, no question about it. If I say WordPress, you can go spell it and boom, you can go to the website. So pagemotor.com is what I think the home of this new platform is going to be. But like I said, the working name is Page Grill. So that's what you're going to see as I take you through these interfaces today. All right, so let's start with the premise here. So obviously what we're looking at here is quite simple. There's nothing really fancy to see, but what is unique about this platform, and one of the early bits of magic, is that it runs themes and plugins like you're familiar with WordPress, but everything is either a theme or a plugin. So for example, the admin side of the platform is a theme. There's an admin theme. The front end side, we're looking at the front end right here, this is also a theme. So, and themes are composed of templates, and there's stuff in those templates, we'll get into that, and also styling, CSS, and also any behavioral stuff like JavaScript that can be layered on. That's optional, but that's the 3 main parts of any theme. You've got the templates, which is HTML, CSS, and then JavaScript. So, the real fancy stuff I want to show you today is all on the admin side, so let's take a look at the admin. So here we are in the admin. Now I also have a little makeshift thing that allows me to work on and look at all the different aspects of the software. So like I said, the software runs themes on the front end. Here's your regular theme, and then the admin theme. Like we're in the admin side right now, so the admin theme is currently running. And then the components are the things that make up your website. You have an admin theme. You have admin themes you can install and mess with. You have regular themes you can install and mess with. And then you have plugins. And that's it. The whole platform is those components, really, themes and plugins. And really, if you want to get down into the details, pretty much everything is a plugin. Pretty much everything is a plugin. So we've got component managers, so there's some stuff, there's going to be some warts here, but it's fine. I haven't fixed up all these interfaces. I am going to show you the interfaces I have totally fixed up and spent a lot of time on. So you got plugin management. You can upload a plugin. You can choose to activate them, then you can save them. Not too fancy. We've got themes. We can upload a theme. Shows you your current theme. So this was, remember, the working name was Page Grill, so my theme was named Ribeye. And you got your current themes listed here, and then inactive themes, you could select one of those to activate instead. There's going to be preview mode, so you can activate a theme in preview mode. And what that is if you activate a theme in preview mode, you, the site administrator, will be able to see your site in the context of that new theme, but your visitors will continue to see whatever is selected as the current theme. So that's really cool. That gives you the ability to work on your live website without affecting the end user's experience. It was really cool. If you have used my software Thesis, which debuted in October of 2012, that capability has been baked into Thesis forever. And Thesis works with WordPress. So if you're familiar with that, you've seen that before, and that's really cool. But that is going to be a standard feature in this new platform, theme previews. We'll look at the admin themes. The current admin theme is called Chef. The Chef admin is the name of it. And again, these are all working names, just kind of fun. So there we go. We've got theme and plugin management. That's all built in. And now we got the real magic here. Well, I'll show you the boring stuff first. So we've got content management. It's really not boring. It's just not as I've really fixed up the theme management stuff. That's going to be the fun stuff to show you. But for now, content management obviously is the foundation of any CMS, content management system, CMS platform. And there's two sides of this. So remember, there's two sides of the site. There's the admin side and the theme side. They have the exact same controls. We run both the same way. There's content on the admin side. There's content on the front end. You need to be able to, end users don't necessarily need to be able to edit the admin side, but to play out this concept and these basic principles throughout the software, the same controls are going to be necessary on both sides. So, and they can work differently. They don't have to behave the same. The environments can be set up completely differently. So on the regular end user side, you can edit your content. We'll take a look at that. The system, this is a really cool aspect of the system. Now, WordPress has content types, if you will, or post types is what they call them in WordPress. This system takes that idea. Post types is a pretty good idea, but this has really solidified the way this stuff should work. Content types are very powerful, and what is interesting about them is that you have basic pages on your website, so there's a page content type, but then there's also some core content types that any website should have. Like the home page is kind of fundamentally different than the rest of your site. In the context of WordPress, the way WordPress works is that a lot of stuff works automatically and is dynamic. So like a blog, okay, you might have a blog homepage. You never had to think about it. It just kind of worked. Like, you go to your homepage. If it functions like a blog, then you see your latest blog posts on the homepage. That was automatic. At some point, in the past, WordPress introduced static front pages, which is more like what we expect when we go to do a homepage of a website. Like, for example, I'll show you my DIY themes website. This is a business website. It's not a blog. So I've got a custom homepage. I've got this big hero area at the top. I've got a little introduction to my products. I've got some prompts about what to do. It's not a blog, clearly. So this page had to be built separately. It had to be built specifically for this outcome. So this is not something that is automatic the way WordPress has been set up. And if you chose a static front page in WordPress, it's still just a page. So you have to, I'll even go in here and show you this. So when you do this in WordPress, when you set up a page, if you want to select a page as your homepage, you're running a static homepage, you actually have to go into your pages and then you just set it'll say front page, like this is what's selected as your home page. That's kind of wonky, right? Like if you have hundreds or even thousands of pages, you might have to scroll through a huge list and navigate and try to find where your, what is really set is your front page. And even the word front page is annoying. It's your homepage, your freaking homepage. So this needs to be more obvious, in my opinion. Like, it's your homepage. It's the most critical asset on your website. It shouldn't just be baked into all the other pages, and then you have to go hunt for it. And also, this doesn't give you any tools for making the homepage. Like, it's really just like any other page. But is your homepage really just like any other page? No, it's special. So Page Grill, Page Motor, I'll just say Page Motor, even though it says Page Grill here. Page Motor is going to give you a way to edit specifically the home content type. Now, the home content type is only going to have one page associated with it. Right now, I don't have anything associated with it here, so nothing displays. But this will give you a way to access easily and edit your homepage. So as soon as you go into your content and say, I want to edit my content, you'll have a choice to edit the homepage. Boom. Nothing to think about, nothing to hunt through, no BS, no static front page first blog, none of that. Just a homepage, the most basic, straightforward delivery of this concept. You've got another content type that's endemic to any website. That's a 404 page. So you got a homepage, got a 404 page. Both of these, there's only one of them on your site. There's only one homepage and there's only one 404 page. So this will give you the ability to edit the content that shows on both. The homepage is going to have more of a page builder type environment where you can really do what you want. That's down the road. But for now, we'll look at the most basic content type, which is pages. And a thing to note, we don't have the post versus page dichotomy that WordPress has, which sets up a basic level of confusion that permeates that entire platform. No, everything that exists on the web at a unique URL is a page. So we're going to edit a page. So right now, this shows you that we've got 2 pages set up on the front end content. We're editing the front end stuff right now. We've got an about page. And again, these interfaces I've just got very basic stuff in place here. I've not worked on these at all. Got basic stuff, URL slug, a title, a lead. This is new. We might get into that, we might not. We've got content. This is going to be an editor, and I'll talk about this in a moment. We got excerpt. You can choose a parent to set up a page hierarchy, which sets up your URL hierarchies. Got authors. We've got some other added options here that are delivered by plugins. Nothing too fancy there, but let's look at this content. So this is going to be the editor. And in WordPress, you're familiar with either the classic editor or the Gutenberg blocks editor. I have a million thoughts on these things, but my contention, so there's a war going on right now, if you're not familiar with this. The war is, or the struggle is between this idea of a block-based editor or a more classic word processor style editor. Here's my thoughts. The block-based editor is powerful. It is powerful. You can do some interesting dynamic things with it, but there are some problems associated with that. Now, I don't have a thing to show you an example there because I don't use the Gutenberg block editor. I know that lots of software is being built to do more dynamic things with the block editor. I don't use those, so I don't have anything to show you. So maybe you have experience with that, maybe you don't. The bottom line is it is a complicated interface, a very complicated interface. And whenever I encounter something like that, the more complicated any interface gets, the more you get into the realm of the only people who can use this thing are professionals. But websites are for everybody. Websites are for everybody. Yes, there's a situation where, businesses want to do online stuff and they hire agencies and professionals to create and to even maintain their websites. But at some point, all those companies are going to want to modify the content on their websites, create new content on the websites. They're not always going to want to appeal to an agency or retain an agency for simple stuff like changing some text on a page or this, that kind of thing. There's going to be some editing going on there. And since there's going to be editing going on there, the interface for the editing needs to be accessible to everybody. It needs to be simple. And my contention, which covers my argument for this whole debate, blocks editor versus just basic content editor, is that the editor needs to function as much like a word processor as possible, because this is something that is intuitive for everyone, that everyone has experience with. So the content editor in Page Motor is going to look something like this. This is the editor at Golden Ratio, it's Golden Ratio Typography Calculator is the website, grtcalculator.com/editor. If you want to go look at this on your own, you can go to grtcalculator.com/editor and play with this editor that's going to be very similar to what we have in PageMotor eventually. So this text area here, where you enter your content, is going to look like this. All right, I'll make it full screen so you can see, but this gives you the ability to really edit and design your content, but in a way that is very much like, almost identical to a word processor. Anybody can do this. Anybody can learn what how to use the styling tools. This thing's called a callout. Here's a drop cap. We've got a little caption here underneath the headline. Here's a headline, basic stuff. Bold, italic, all the stuff we're familiar with. This is cool too. This is one of the things that page builders do. This feature right here, we've got this full color break across the screen. This is called a bleed, a full width bleed. This is something that everybody wants to do. This is something that page builders are kind of necessary to pull off. Like page builder functionality is necessary to do this in WordPress right now, but it doesn't have to be that way. This could be done from within the editor, and I'm showing you this is currently done from within this editor on grtcalculator.com. And this is huge. You can set up a full width bleed with content inside it. All the colors and stuff adjust. It all just works. You can choose your color, your background color, and all this stuff. And you can take your image. You can add a pop to it, which is this drop shadow. You can do all this cool stuff. All this cool formatting that you want to do, you can do from within the editor in a way that's like working with a word processor. It doesn't require you to learn some fancy page builder tool. So one of the problems with these blocks-based page builders is that they have a ton of options. They have all this stuff going on, and so you'll have some basic stuff, and then when you put something on the page, then there's other options associated with that. Some of them are very intense, like very intense CSS options for styling that you might want to apply, but that really have no meaning unless you are really well versed in the software and the underlying architecture like CSS. I don't think that scales very well. I don't think that's going to be, I know it's not accessible to the public, so I think that really it's facing a tough uphill battle, and it's not going to win over time. Simplicity is going to win over time. So this bleed, let me show you something here. So when we're talking about this content editor, we're really talking about, like, on the front end of the website, we've got our header up here, and we've got this line that indicates everything beneath this is a footer. So what's between those, between the header and footer, is the content area. This is really what is unique on every page of your website. This is really what you want to design, even on a home page. This area is what you're designing specifically. So on the home page or on any other page you want to create, you are dealing with this area in the middle. This editor gives you the ability to do everything you want to do with that area in the middle. You can design it. You don't need a page builder to design it. It all can be done from within the context of a simple editor that functions like a word processor. I mean, this is great. Look, I've even got a call out here with a button inside it. I mean, this is advanced. This is a really sophisticated outcome compared to what you're used to, and it can be done from within the editor. So this whole thing that you're looking at could be what appears in between the header and the footer on a page like this, and you would have been able to do it all from within the editor. That is absolutely huge. That is what the future is going to look like. That is how the PageMotor content editor is going to work. And like I said, so we were managing the content for the front end, but now we can go do the admin side as well. So we've got page type set up for this. We've got one, it's a template UI test, nothing fancy. So that is pretty cool. There's another content type that's registered to this working environment right now. It's called modular content. Now, if you've been using Thesis, so my software Thesis that works with WordPress, if you've been using that, I introduced modular content in early 2019, so you might be familiar with it. But in a WordPress parlance, so if you create a post or page, or really any content in WordPress, it receives a URL endpoint on your website. So you create the content, and you can go to yoursite.com/thisnewpage, and boom, that page appears. But we don't always want content to have a URL endpoint. We might just have some content that we want to bring in on certain pages of our website, you know, like bring it over in the sidebar or just show it like at the bottom of content, like a little pitch for like, you know, some product offer that you have, something like this, something that you may want to repeat across your site, but that doesn't require its own endpoint URL. That's where modular content comes in. So you can go in and create your own modular content. I don't even know what's going to appear here. Nothing's going to appear here yet. I haven't built that out. But you'll be able to create these little snippets of content, little vignettes, and then you can pull them into other pages and use them wherever you want around your site. So that's super handy, super cool. Modular content is, if you really think about this, it's a really basic piece of the content puzzle on your website. So you got pages, you got your special homepage, you got your 404 page, and then you've got modular content, and you've pretty much got everything you're ever going to need. Now, in the future, there's going to be plugins, advanced plugins, such as an e-commerce plugin that's going to bring in some other content types like subscriptions, memberships, that kind of thing, and you'll be able to manage them here easily. All your content you will be able to manage from this page. It's going to be very obvious, very easy, very intuitive. But content types are the basis really for the way everything on the website works. URLs, URL structures, and templates specifically. And really the goal of my video is to show you how templates and the whole theme system is going to work, and also plugins. All right, so we got the basics out of the way. Let's get to the exciting stuff for this video, and that is I want to show you how themes work, and I also want to show you the tools that are baked into PageMotor here that enable you to build themes, and also the way plugins work, and I'll show you how powerful it is. So I did a video a few months ago where I asked the question, what if the WordPress plugin architecture were based on the computer science concept of inheritance? And in that video, I showed you how easy it could be to create really dynamic plugins that do interesting things, like deliver an options page to the admin, or deliver JavaScript to the front end of your website, or do various things that plugins might want to do. With WordPress, there's none of this is built into the platform. Like if you go to create a plugin, you receive zero functionality. You get nothing. But there's lots of things you might want to do. You might want to deliver options to a content, like to the content editor. You might want to deliver some options beneath the area where you enter the main content. You might want to have something like, an HTML class, or you want to add a meta description or custom title tag, or even meta robots like you see here. You might want to do that kind of thing. You might want to deliver just a basic options page on the admin, something you can click on like down here, like another link, like do settings for a plugin. You might want to have, so within Thesis, I've had for many years now this ability to edit active elements within your design. So like there's a homepage author, or not homepage author, but there's a author. So if on our page here, we've got something like this. We've got author, and there's an author output within the byline, and there's a published on date, okay? We might want to like change the text here. We might want it to say author. We might not want it to say author. We might want to say published on, or we might not want to put that. We might want to show a modified on date, something like this. So there's some different things you might want to do. This is editable content. So we could go in there and we could say for the homepage author, we can have author intro text. We can have it say author like I showed you, or you can delete this and have it say nothing. Same with the date. We've got a date format. You might want to change the format of the date. Maybe you live in Europe and you want the formatting to be different. Maybe you don't want to show the last modified date. Maybe you do. This gives you the ability to quickly change those things. Site titles you can link it, you can not link it, you can send it to a custom link, you can change the behavior of the way these things work. There's a text box. So on the homepage, right now, the way this is set up, there's a text box that you can display before your content displays. It might be like a special offer box. Well, you can just type the HTML you want in here. This accepts HTML. And then you could type that in there, and then, boom, you have your own custom output there on your homepage. And then we've got a text box that's optional in the footer too. You could put something in there that you want. Bottom line is you can edit these things. These options pages are delivered via plugin. But the plugins, the plugin architecture in PageMotor gives you a way to do this where you don't have to build. So in WordPress, you would have to build the options page. You would have to hook into WordPress and say, hey, I want this options page to show in this location in the admin. Then you would have to say, hey, when this saves, run this little routine and save this data. And oh, by the way, there's certain things you have to do with data to make sure it can go into the database properly and be pulled out of the database properly in the form that you want and can actually use easily. And then you have to have a way to call up that information on the front end and be able to output it. So that's a lot of mechanical stuff that WordPress just forces you to have to do all that stuff if you want to do a plugin. PageMotor has valet ways to do all this. Literally, all I'm giving this thing is an array of data, and it does the rest. I'll show you. So this is the, what was that? The author box. All right, so we'll look at the author plugin here real quick just to show you. Here's page author, here's the plugin. These are the options. This little function inside my plugin here, the author plugin, says box options, an intro, author intro text. So I just give it an array. This array is in a special options format that I will document, obviously. And so whenever you're delivering options, you just give it an array, an array of data that describes the options. And it's a basic pattern. It's a pattern that is so clearly defined that AI is going to be able to do this really easily. So like you won't even be writing these things in the future. You'll just ask an AI that has the prompts. It'll say, hey, I need a plugin that does this, and it will go ahead and spit that out. And then you'll add it to the platform, and then boom, you will have an options page that shows up in the right place, saves all the data properly, retrieves the data properly so you can use it. So I'll show you how it retrieves. In the output function, the HTML function here, we just ask for the box options and then the actual option that we gave it, which was named intro right here. And boom, we get to output it within the UI. Like, so simple. Compared to what you need to do with WordPress, like this is mind-boggling. This is so simple. I call this valet functionality. You give it the method for the options. It says, oh, hey, it gave me this box options method. I know that this is how this is supposed to work. I know where it's supposed to display. Going to set all that up. I'm going to go ahead and do all the save routines and all the really ugly technical stuff for you. It's all done for you. It works so easily, so quickly. And like I said, it's so good and so patternized that AI is going to be doing it. So that's really the secret sauce here, but it's worth showing you. That's really cool. And these are the theme UIs, by the way. This is the editable elements. Not everything in your themes is editable, but some stuff that is. It all appears here for quick selection and editing. Really cool. I got a theme homepage. I don't have anything on here yet. Display options, no display options yet. That's all down the road. I'm building that stuff. Design options, same deal. Custom CSS editor. I've got this, but I haven't tidied it up. But what we really want to look at today is the theme editor. Okay, this is a massive piece of software in and of itself. But this is really the magic that underpins the whole PageMotor system. Is this theme editor, and we're going to look at it for the admin because I built this out the most. All right, so what we are looking at here is the template editor, and I mentioned the content types already. The system knows what content types have been registered to it. And it knows how to create templates. It will automatically create templates that work, that correspond to the content types that have been registered. And content types work kind of differently. There's some options with the way those things can work. And it knows, like, if you're on a specific page of the website, like I'm within the admin's running a theme. I'm on the admin theme editor. This is running a special template for the admin theme editor. It's running this template, theme UI editor, okay? And we'll look at this, and it's got, some basic stuff, a header, a navigation. So this is the header, this is the navigation. And then it's got the admin theme editor, which is all this stuff. Everything between, here's the footer down here. So everything that's between the nav and the footer is this admin theme editor. And there's some other nested stuff here that just nests it within the HTML. So this is really cool. It knows to run this template on this specific URL because it knows that this URL is of a content type that's been registered to the system. It's called theme UI, and it's got sub content types, one of which is editor. It knows that this page is a sub-content type of the theme UI. It knows it's the editor. It knows what template to run. All that stuff just works automatically. So I'll show you. I've told the system, the admin theme architecture here has told the system it's added some content types that are specific to the admin. The admin theme, it's called the theme UI. That's what we saw in the interface. And then it's got these subtypes. And I've told it that. And by telling the system that, it knows how and what to run on what URLs. And it also knows how to build this template editor out so that you can edit them. It's amazing. I'm feeding it. So the basic principle that's in play is I tell the system the least amount of information I can tell it to get it to do what it needs to do. The simplest thing you can do is give it an array of data. You give it an array of information, and it knows what to do. So I'm not building out HTML forms. I'm not doing a bunch of PHP like, oh, if this, then this. I'm not doing a bunch of conditional statements and figuring out what needs to work and looping through things and doing all this nonsense. I'm just feeding it data, and it does the rest. That's how everything is supposed to work. You give it a little bit of data. Hey, this is what I want to do. It knows what to do. That is working in paradise. That's how this entire platform works. Everything you do is going to be like this. You give it some data, you give it the minimum amount of data it needs to do the job it's going to do, and it does the job. So this is really, really cool, okay? So if you've used Thesis, there has been a template editor similar to this since late 2012. But this is an even more advanced version of that, okay? So we've got, with each template, so I'm editing the theme UI editor template right now. I've got some template options. I could add a body class if I want to style it or whatever. But what's unique about this versus Thesis, Thesis had a separate HTML head editor. Now the HTML head editor is baked into each template. So theoretically, you could serve a different HTML head on each template. Probably not going to do that, but you could. The head has certain boxes, we call them, that run. These are delivered by plugins. These are plugins. And a box is a plugin that has HTML output within templates, okay? That's a box. There's also a different type of box called a container. A container contains things. Hey. So, and there's different types of containers you can have. I might show you a couple of those. I've got two baked into the system right now. Just a basic HTML container. We look at this. You can give it whatever tag you want. You can give an ID, a class, a string of HTML attributes if you want to do something really dynamic. And we've got some other options for hooks and just template visibility. So like when I opened this this template in the editor here, this was already open by default. That's because this has a container is open by default. That way, you know, like when we load into the page and we go to the template, it's showing us like this is what is really different about this page. That's why it's set up that way. This other stuff is common among other templates, so we don't need to look at it. But this is what's unique about this page. So we open right to that. So we're seeing what's unique already. I think that's a cool way to operate. Anyway, like I said, we got the HTML head. You can put stuff in there, and then we've got the body. The way this works, you can sort this stuff, you can move stuff around, you can take stuff off the page, we can reselect it and move it back, section header, container header, boom, and site title. We just took all three of those off. They were nested. We'll put that in here, we'll put this in here, and this in here, and then we'll move it back out there, and then our thing is back to normal. So this is a really easy, simple way to build out, and these boxes, these containers and boxes spit out the HTML that eventually becomes the template. And it does it in a really, really amazing way, guys. It indents the HTML properly. It does it all perfectly. We'll look at this real quick. But like, here it is. It's all properly indented. I mean, this is a huge HTML page to serve this template. But look, it's all perfect. Only an absolute freak would do this. I am that freak. But that's how this works. You're working with a meticulously optimized platform here that does all the right things in all the right places, and you just give it the minimum amount of information, and it does the magic. So you can construct any template you like here using the boxes that are registered to the platform. You can just add plugins, and they can do these things. I have my special admin theme editor plugin that outputs this crazy UI. So this is the HTML editor. Let's pop over now to, well, let's see here. I'll just explain some functionality here. You can create a new custom template. do something like this, and here it is. We've just created a new template. It's blank. The head gets auto-populated with this stuff. That's common across the site, so no big deal. But so this template is blank. We could take stuff out of here and construct it, but I don't want to reconstruct it. I know I want this to be similar to the page template, so I'll just copy from template. We'll copy from the page template, and now my new template that I just created is an exact copy of my page template, which is right here, and then I can go make a couple of little tweaks here to make this different from that template. So once you've built one template, you can really zip through the rest of the platform. And this shows you, this list of templates that's available over here, shows you everything that you might want to edit, really everything that's on this top level. You need to create one template for each of these, and then you've got a template for every available outcome that's going to happen on the front end. Every available outcome. And then in this case, when we can expand and see these sub-templates, the way this works is if you created this top level template, these all inherit the same thing, and they'll just run the same one unless you go into these and make it different. So here's the theme UI template. It's got the theme UI box. We go into the sub-template for the custom CSS editor, which I've not messed with. It's the exact same template. But this editor template is different. It's got the admin theme editor box in there. So that's just really cool. Again, it only forces you to provide the minimum amount of data to get the job done. So that's an operating principle that you're going to find throughout the platform. Really, really good stuff. And then if you want, so certain things like these containers, you can create a new one. That's these asterisked ones. You can create a new container, or you can choose from the ones that have already been built. I do want to show you one special type of container here. It's the page container. This is labeled home because it's the one that's deployed on the home template, but I'll just show it to you in this template. It's no big deal. We drag that over. This container is interesting because it is designed to output the content that you create in the content editor. The stuff that was in there, you've got a content, you've got title. Obviously, you'd want the title first. And then we've got these other optional things like author, date, the lead, and the excerpt that you might want to output within a particular template. So you can add these things. And they can be added to the area above, but I killed that functionality while messing with this yesterday. I need to fix that. But you just click on this, it would go up to the active area up here, and then you can move it around. Simple. So that is how the template editor works. That is really cool. So this is the way, so like with WordPress right now and going back to the block editor versus the word processor kind of dichotomy that we got going on there, like which way is better. This template editor is, to me, a simplified way of doing what people try to do with page builders. With page builders, they're actually trying to build the active web page, like this thing. They're actually like dealing with the content, looking at the whole thing like this. I understand why it's intuitive to kind of want to do that, but it's really complicated. It's really complicated. To me, it's better if we can abstract and simplify and just take out the most basic things. Like this is a big section here. This is a big bleed section. Maybe I could express that as just a box in the template. So I'll build the template here in this easy way, and then we can go look at it. We see the results, and then I'll apply some CSS styling to it to get it to look the way we want. The point of this is that the people who are doing that work with the block style editors anyway, those are the people that are developers. They provide websites for other people. They're agencies, they're freelancers, there's these types of people. They're professionals. Professionals know how HTML works, they know how CSS works, they know how JavaScript works, they know how the whole thing kind of fits together. So there's no reason to put all their tools, the professional tools, in the same interface as the one where you create content. Like this is what end users need to see. They don't really need to see this. They don't need to see the CSS guts of how this thing is built. That's not what they interface with. They are deploying stuff that they already have, styles and things like that, or possibly things like these. These are cards. Those are not built into the platform yet. They will be. But, more advanced, stuff gets configured beforehand by a professional, and it gets deployed by the end users. But the blocks editor muddies those two things together. it says, well, this is the tool for everybody. Well, that's not really how it works, gang. That's not really how it works. It's overcomplicated even for the developers, which I hope this is going to kind of illuminate. But it's really overcomplicated for end users who just want to create content. Okay, so we've covered the template editor. That's the HTML backbone of the website of all your templates. Let's look at the CSS editor, which I am really hype on right now. I've spent a lot of time on this recently. It's really, really cool. So I've got a basic CSS editor here. You can just enter CSS, whatever. But this is enabled with SCSS. SCSS is really cool. You can do like nested stuff. We can say like a headline that occurs within the body is going to be, it's going to be red. So you can nest CSS like this. You can't do this if you're writing just naked CSS. But this, it gives you a way to create a cleaner CSS construction. You can, and like if you're familiar with this, you know that SCSS rocks. One other thing it can do is use variables, which is really great. So we can say like, we got colors here. I've got all these variables that I've built into the platform, and these variables are used to create a dynamic output environment. So what does that mean? What does that mean? That means I can give you design options, and you could select, a design, like I'll have to illustrate this. So we'll go to, let's look at this. So here is within Thesis, this stuff already exists. So I can give you design options, and you could change your font size, you can change your font. So these little things here are the variable references that you would find over here. The resulting variables that get changed by changing these options. We got colors, layout dimensions, the whole thing. The whole thing. You can change the way certain elements in the site look, like buttons. You can change the buttons, padding, all that stuff. You can change the way everything looks, and it updates the variables, and then you just use those variables in your CSS, and then that, when the user updates the design options, all the CSS changes. So that way you can change fonts just by using an interface, and then everything updates. It's really, really great. That enables rapid prototyping for design that simply is not possible any other way. So that's huge. But one thing I have learned in the past 6-7 years of working with various websites, and specifically in the process of adding e-commerce capabilities to existing websites, I have learned that the best way to do this in an SCSS-enabled environment is to use two SCSS tools known as mix-ins and includes. Mix-ins and includes. Mix-ins, let's take a look at a mix-in. So here is a SCSS mix-in. Here's one. We'll do this one. It looks like this. So it's CSS, and it's written in SCSS format with the nesting and all this stuff. And you define at mix-in, and then container is the name of this one. Okay? So this is a mix-in. Then, within the regular SCSS here, I could say, actually, I don't even remember the syntax to include it. Let's find out what that is. I haven't done this in a little while because it all works together, and I don't have to do it anymore. It just works. Let's see, formatting. So we include something. So who might say .container include, this includes the mix-in container. And now this class will inherit, it just gets all of this CSS. So I don't have to go write this now in my CSS every time I've written a container once, and I just include it and boom. Super, super easy. So that's how I would do it in this editor. But really, like I said, through building these e-commerce websites, I found that it is most powerful, and I'll describe a couple of the benefits here, most powerful to use SCSS includes to create all the CSS for a website, all right? So what this looks like is I've got 5 major includes here that when I save this, it's going to use these 5 includes to compile the whole style sheet. So the first one's layout structure. And this says this uses the mix-in container. So we'll look at the layout structure. So here it is. It's got a reference to the body. So this is really CSS. Or it's SCSS, but whatever. So we've got our body tag in there. We've got reference to a header element. We've got this if the site's using a nav, it will output the nav. If it's using a secondary nav, it will output this. Got content, footer, container that I mentioned earlier. So this is where the mix-in is included in this file. And then there's some other stuff, some dynamic behaviors based on the options that you've set up for how you want to run your site. And then that is the first thing that's compiled in the CSS. And then we've got text formatting, which uses 3 of the defined mix-ins, which are over here. This mix-in, this is basic link styles. Let's see, GRT, what is that? This is golden ratio typography base styles. And it also tells you the source of the mix-in. This is interesting, right? So the theme is delivering all this stuff to the environment right now. But a plugin, like an e-commerce plugin, could come along and deliver some stuff too. And that way, when you compile your CSS, all the stuff the e-commerce plugin needs gets inserted into your CSS, and you didn't have to do anything. This interface enables you to go in and look at it, and you can say, oh, okay, I see this was delivered by, imagine this was delivered by the e-commerce plugin. You would be able to see that. And then the includes that are here, you can see what they use. And so you kind of know how everything fits together. If you're ever in there troubleshooting or you want to modify things, it's real easy to piece together how your environment works. Really, really great. So let's look at the text formatting include here. Very simple. We've got some simple styles for a link. We've got some styles for code-based output. And then we've got our GRT text styles, which include the GRT mix-in and the GRT content mix-in, which again are visible over here, GRT and GRT content. Oh, it's extended GRT styles. Okay. We look at that. Here's the GRT ones. This is all the stuff for for your content. So H1, H2, H3, H4, how all this stuff works, interesting behaviors, block quotes. This determines how everything is going to look and output. It even has media queries for responsive design. And then we can look at GRT content. Oh, these are extended styles. All right. Headline area, byline. This kind of really works. This describes exactly how this theme, what might be different about this theme, how it works, how it looks. We've got call outs, alerts, notes, boxes. We saw one of those over here. This is a note call out. This is an alert call out. So we see all of that stuff in here. So we pull this in and we say, all right, now this comes after the layout structure. This is what's going to be output in the CSS file. All this stuff gets baked into here. Then we got forms, more conditional elements, and then layout modes describes dynamic behaviors, like if you want a one-column site, if you want to use a sidebar, if you want it content aligned in the middle, or if you want it shoved over to the left, whatever. That has a CSS to determine all those outcomes. You can change the output order of SCSS includes. Like I said, you can kind of examine the whole environment and decide how you want it to output in the eventual CSS, and then the whole thing compiles and boom, all your stuff is there and it just works. And like I said, plugins can add their own SCSS too, and it would be inserted beneath here automatically. And then when you compile the sheet, boom. But what this enables that's not currently possible in WordPress is that when a plugin adds something to your environment, they always add CSS, but it's hard-coded. It's got their own font sizes in there. It's got their own fonts. It's got their own colors. It's got the whole thing. But it would be better if they could insert CSS into your environment that uses the active variables that you have. That way, when you go into the design options and change stuff, even the plugin stuff would change. And I'm talking about stuff like we got relative sizing here, sizing and spacing. The plugins could use those. They could be constructed in a way that fits seamlessly into your environment. Now, I did a whole video about this, but one of the big bummers about e-commerce plugins in WordPress is that when you install them on your site, they don't fit into your environment at all. And the trend has been that they use, like MemberPress, for example, uses something called Ready Launch. They tout this as a feature. What Ready Launch is them saying, dealing with all these individual themes and different outcomes, this is a pain in the butt. We're not going to do that. We're just going to deliver our own stuff. And that way, when you go to a MemberPress page in your website, it actually has a totally different design than your regular website. Totally different. It is a totally different UI, and it's all defined by MemberPress, and it doesn't fit into your environment at all. And that means the number one challenge that agencies face when they do an e-commerce website is to fit all that MemberPress stuff into your design, because it's not professional to have to go to a page and have it be totally different. It's crazy. It's jarring. It doesn't engender trust with the end user, and it's just a bad experience. But with this environment, a plugin could deliver an SCSS include that references variables, and then the stuff would all just update and fit seamlessly into your design. Problem solved. This is a massive problem that I am showing you the solution to right here. So I want to show you how I've been doing this with WordPress and MemberPress real quick to try and drive this point home. So I do these MemberPress implementations that are really, really nice. I did a video on that. You can look at it's one of my most recent videos. You can check that out about how, it's the 5 things you need to do for any e-commerce website. And I go through this whole thing that I've kind of talked about here briefly. Now, you need a bunch of code to integrate an e-commerce plugin. There's just certain stuff you got to do it right to fit it into an active environment. In addition, you have to work with their predefined templates. I have all these templates and stuff that I've had to recreate to get them to work the way I want. This is a lot of work. This sucks. Now, I built it once and I can deploy it and I've got a pretty good operating environment here, but it's not ideal. Not ideal. What I'm showing you with PageMotor is ideal. But one of the things I do is I have this CSS SCSS include that I use to all the MemberPress styles and CSS and stuff that I know I want to change. I use these variables, and that way when I install this MemberPress stuff on a website, it's picking up the active environmental variables from that site, and then it picks up the character of the site. So these templates and stuff that I've modified, when you go to them, they're going to look like the website. They're going to look like the website because they're actually pulling from the same base of information. But I had to construct this file. It's 280 lines long of specialty CSS, but there's a pretty insidious requirement here. Not everyone's going to be able to do this. I can do this because I've got thesis, focus, and this SCSS compilation environment. There's 3 things, and then this whole idea about building this box, which is a 4th thing, which kind of works. This is like a rough version of the plugin architecture I've showed you for PageMotor. I've got 4 levels of dependencies, and so if I have all those things in place, if a site has all those things, which not every site is running all that stuff, obviously, then I can do this, and I can install this MemberPress plugin, this Focus MemberPress box, actually, and your site can all be branded and look right. It does the e-com implementation, more or less. But that is a tremendous amount of prerequisites and work that's necessary to deliver that result. If WordPress worked like this, the plugin developers could just do that, and then when you install that plugin on your site, it would just work. They would have a content type for their stuff. That content type would run a template that they load onto your environment as well. And then the CSS stuff would be loaded up also, any mix-ins they want, and also the includes. And it would all compile, and it would just work. It would just work. What will be possible with this will blow your mind. It will blow your mind. The implementations will be trivial. In fact, they will be able to be done with AI, and that's really the key takeaway here, gang. Everything's super patternized. Like I said, all the system's going to have to do is deliver. So here's the theme. Actually, not this. It's this. So this admin theme, the only thing that's unique about the admin theme right now is 3 arrays to define the mix-ins and includes. There's includes for the general environment, and there's includes for the editor. This is to change the way the WYSIWYG editor, it's going to enable it to show the styles that you select or the styles that go with the current theme. I don't have that totally built out yet, so there's nothing to show you guys, but there's different CSS here. It even has different includes, especially ones that are built just for the editor. But all the theme, this admin theme, this is it. Everything else that works here is the way the system works. It's crazy. It's crazy. So to build this theme, if you wanted to build a theme, which I'm not even sure is going to be something that people do in the future, I'll get to that at the very end here, but it's trivial. Like I could teach an AI to do this in 5 minutes. So the AI will be able to do that, to build a plugin like we've already kind of looked at one here. Like it's got some simple properties, going to be really easy to set up. And then it's got these valet functions that all work a very specific way. It's got output functions that are predefined. Containers work a little differently. Might as well look at that. Here's a page container. Instead of an HTML output, it has a container open. This is what happens when the container opens, and then something that happens when the container closes. Some output up here, some output down here, and then everything that's contained within the container runs its own output. So again, this is a valet function. There's all some basic stuff set up by the plugin architecture. It could not be simpler. So the bottom line is there's going to be some stuff that needs to be built that AI is not going to do, like the e-commerce, the full e-commerce integration. That's going to have to be figured out. But then when somebody wants to, let's say you start a new website and you want to add an e-commerce component, and then you want it, you want to add this and that functionality, an AI is going to be able to build you a couple plugins to do that. And then maybe you'll have some simple instructions for integrating that into your environment. But you're not going to be writing any HTML. You're not going to be writing any PHP, and probably not much, if any. And then I'm talking about developers. End users aren't going to have to squat. You just get the plugin, you go upload it to your environment, and boom, it all just works. It's incredible. So my in-game goal with this setup is to make it so that you could pay an AI agent far less than you would ever pay an agency to build out your website the way that you want. That's really the answer. So right now, something that's happened in web design and development that really sucks is that there's a missing middle. If you're low end, you just have to do it yourself and you're limited in what you can do. But if you want to do something advanced like e-commerce, you have to hire an agency to do it. It's complicated. It is complicated. I mean, I have the best setup in the business with my Focus MemberPress thing. But again, it's got lots of prerequisites. Your site has to run on Focus, which runs on Thesis. And then you have to have my Focus MemberPress implementation. And then I have to do a little bit of custom tweaking for the site to make that implementation work exactly the way you want it to work. For example, we'll go here. And then like this subscribe page I set up for this guy. This one has, got a free or a pro subscription. Like I have to set all that stuff up when I deliver the e-com thing. And then you do all your stuff. So this is stuff that you pay an agency to do now, and it's not trivial at all. It's a big deal. But that's not going to be necessary with this platform. You'll be able to get an AI agent to do this stuff for you. And it's going to be way cheaper. This will be accessible to everyone. Retaining an agency is not cheap. We're talking like 20 grand. Like if we're being serious, if you're going to do an e-com thing, that's about what you're looking at just to get in the door. And if you want to do advanced stuff beyond that or make changes over time, which everybody does, you're looking at money that prices out a lot of smaller ventures. And I think some of these smaller missing middle ventures, like people have to get started, but if you're getting started, you don't have 20 grand to drop on hoping that this agency can build you an e-commerce setup that's going to work. And then the alternative to that is you just use, WordPress and MemberPress, and then you've got this ready launch situation where the stuff that your customers interface with is totally different from the rest of your site. Like, it's just not ideal. It's a bummer. Like, I don't like that the way the environment is right now. It's like, well, if you want to do it like this, you have to accept this stuff that sucks. And if you want to do it this way, the cost is extreme. It's like this huge leap from, okay, I have to accept a bunch of stuff that sucks and I don't like, or, it's a huge leap to get what you actually want. This system, PageMotor, is going to close that gap completely. It's going to close that gap completely. It's also going to enable people who do advanced plugin stuff, plugins that really do add advanced features to your site. It's going to make them so much more powerful and better. So much more powerful and better. They'll be able to do what they want to do more easily, more straightforward. This system works way better. In fact, what I have showed you today, this system so far has 0 hooks or filters right now. 0. If you develop with WordPress, hooks and filters are your only way to operate. Like, that's your key to the kingdom. That's how you get in there and do what you want, where you want. You use hooks and filters. This doesn't even have that yet. It's all valet. You tell it what you want. You know, use these valet methods. The system knows, okay, hey, this goes here, this goes there. This is how it works, and everything just works. Everything just works. That is an incredible upgrade from the way WordPress works. I mean, it's just not even comparable. So I want to circle back here. I mentioned about the SCSS includes. And there's one other benefit I wanted to talk about there. You could build this stuff in the editor. You can do your includes like this in these editors. But the advantage of working with these separate SCSS files, especially if you're in an agency or are a developer who's very organized, is versioning. You keep these files, you've got like your repository on Git or on SVN that you work on, and you can update these as a team. You could have one team member working on this file, you could have another team member working on this one, and then they can, you know, you keep version updates for all those things, and they all feed into the main environment, and you can just compile this at will. You know, Johnny's working on this, he wants to test it, he compiles the CSS, oh, it's like this. You know, Mary's working on that. When she uploads that to the environment, it will update when they're compiling it, and like it's no big deal. Everybody can work on stuff simultaneously, and you have version control. So really, that's better than writing CSS in an editor. This editor is super powerful. It uses the variables, like I said. It's totally awesome. You can drag variables over. They'll go in. It's totally awesome. You can edit them, but really, these variables are all updated by the system. So I don't recommend like just creating a variable and giving it a hard-coded value. The system should update the values. But variables plus mix-ins plus includes and being able to version those and deal with them separately, it's just the right way to do it. Oh my gosh, it's like going to be heaven for teams and agencies that do this kind of work. It's just incredible. And like I said, you can order your includes, you can change the output order to optimize for delivery and make sure everything works the right way. It's amazing. It's amazing. One last thing, just because, so in this system, so like certain pages have JavaScript. Like this editor requires a lot of JavaScript to do all the stuff that it does. One of the big challenges with CSS, so plugins add CSS to working environments. They're not going to be adding separate files now. They're going to add stuff to your compiled CSS environment that's going to fit in seamlessly with your stuff. That's one huge win. So not a bunch of CSS files and figuring out what needs to be there, what doesn't, to play this optimization dance. None of that. And then the JavaScript stuff that gets loaded to the environment. This thing, so with JavaScript, sometimes one of the things you want to do is called a pre-connect or a preload or a prefetch. There's three ways to tell the browser to get ready to load these resources that optimize the loading of these resources. Now, this is in the weeds, but this is like for hardcore performance optimization. This is the stuff you got to do. This system, you can set up your delivery of resources in a way that says, let's go to our theme editor here. This thing is registering JavaScript to the active environment. And notice when it adds this particular jQuery version, it says to pre-connect. And it tells you you got an ID for this particular pre-connection, and you can pre-connect to different resources to have them load more quickly. You tell it you want to pre-connect, it will pick that up, and it will go ahead, when that script is included on a page, it will add the pre-connect. And I've killed that part of the system, which is funny. I've done a bunch of work recently, but the pre-connect would have shown up here in the header. The system knows to do all that. It was working. I just messed with this yesterday and didn't check that. But and then it loads the resources at the bottom of the page. It is totally, totally freaking awesome. Everything is valet. You tell the environment what it's going to need to do, and it's just going to do it. And so, I mean, I've got that video like I referenced earlier about the 5 basic things you got to do with any e-com integration. One of those is style and script optimization. I've shown you exactly how both those problems are going to be solved. It's already baked into the cake. So that is crazy. And so this system is way faster than WordPress. Way faster than WordPress. Everything is lightning freaking fast. Everything is right there when you need it, where you need it. All the optimization stuff is built in, so you just tell it like, okay, hey, I want to do this too, and it's just going to do it. You don't have to like, oh, since I've got this resource, I need to hook into the WordPress header, and oh, only on this page I want to output this thing, so the pre-connect is there. No, none of that. It just knows what to do, when to do it. Another thing is when you've got a box included on a template and that template runs, the box has something called a preload method, so it only loads its resources when it appears on a template. So that way you don't have this mishmash thing of like you add an ecom plugin to WordPress and it dumps styles and scripts on every page of your website. Now every page of your website is considerably slower. That is so sloppy, gang. Ugh. This system solves that problem as well. All this, every solution you can freaking imagine is baked into this cake. This is the future. This is the way to build websites. This is how you're going to be building websites. I'm glad you went along with me for this ride today. Page Motor is coming. I'm working on this all the time. The next thing I'm going to work on is the content editor and getting this thing to look like this. And that's going to be really exciting. So that's the next thing I'm going to have to show you. But there it is. The themes and plugins are running in the active environment. And this thing is just totally awesome. The themes and plugins are running. The template editor is running. The CSS compiler works. I mean, the setup with the SCSS includes and mix-ins is just a dream. This is just awesome. It all compiles. It's amazing, gang. So this is the future. You are looking at it. This admin, so this won't be visible on normal deployments. You won't even see the admin. You won't have, this will all be hidden stuff that you'll be able to access if you want, if you're a power user. But for most people, they're just going to have a link to edit their content. They're going to have these links to edit their theme if they want. And then they're going to be able to choose the plugins and themes. They're going to be able to select what is installed and activated on their website. But the admin is going to be so simple compared to WordPress. Just think about it. And, like you've got this other situation in WordPress where if you have, I've got modular content down here, focus cards down here. If I had an e-commerce plugin, it might say MemberPress and there'd be that. And like you manage all that stuff kind of, but it's wonky. But all that stuff is going to be on the content type page in the future. Oh, I want to, deal with my transactions. I want to deal with my subscriptions. All going to be right there. Super simple and straightforward. These processes are simpler. The interface is simpler. So like, this angst and bummer situation we have with the WordPress admin being too complicated for normies, it is too complicated. We're getting rid of all that stuff, gang. This is going to be the simplest, most powerful admin you have ever seen, and it's going to be awesome. All right, and this is obviously a super basic implementation right now. I've just got it so I could do it, okay? I haven't built this out. When I built it out, it's going to be, looking sophisticated like this. It's not going to be... some links like that. All right, anyway, there you go. The future is going to be great. Page Motor is the answer. This is the best platform you guys have ever seen, anyone's ever seen. This is the way we're going to build websites in the future. Themes and plugins, that's all this thing runs, and it runs perfectly. See you guys later.